Hello everyone, myself Vishal Mohori. Currently, I'm working as a data science and business analytics intern at the Sparks Foundation. Today, I'm going to present the first project submission for the said internship. My first project is based on performing exploratory data analysis on retail. As an overview, we are acting as a business manager and we are to focus on the different factors that are contributing to the profits or losses and making predictable conclusions on which areas we should be focusing on in order to make a profit. Basically, we should be focusing on the best practices that are being followed in the areas making profit, and we are to understand how we should be implementing those practices into the areas that are incurring losses. We have used Tableau Public in order to execute this project by making interactive dashboards. So now let us look into the dashboards. So now let us look into our interactive dashboard. First of all, let us look into our different elements that are being used in order to analyze our dataset. First of all, we have profit or sale by region, which is being categorized into West, East, Central, and South. We have profit or sales by ship mode, which is being categorized into standard class, first class, same day, and second class. We have profit or sales by cities, where we are distributing the amount of sales and profit throughout the different regions of the United States. We have profit or sales by category. We have furniture, office supplies, and technology as the three categories, and we have sales and profit on either side of the rows. We have profit or sales or discounts by subcategories, which are basically the subcategories of our categories, that is furniture, office supplies, and technology. And we are defining our profit, sales, and average discount for the subcategories, basically in order to understand in which areas we are like making losses and profits more efficiently and in a more in-depth way. In profit or sales by segment, we have consumer, corporate, and home office. Now let us define the ways in which we are defining our parameters of sales and profit in our Tableau chart. So first of all, we can see in our profit or sales by region that the sizes of these boxes are all different. So that basically represents that our west region, having the biggest box, has the biggest amount of sales, and our central and our south region has the smallest box, and so it has the least amount of sales. And also we can see that we have this color chart of profit. Having anything having the deepest shade of blue has the biggest amount of profit, whereas anything having the deepest shade of any shade of red basically has a is running at a less amount of profit than what is expected. So here we can see west region has the biggest amount of profit and our central region has the least amount of profit, where west region is running at a profit of 1,08,000 and our central region is running at a very small profit of 39,000. Now, similarly, we can see in profit or sales by ship mode, where standard class is the biggest amount of sales and profit as well, whereas same day has the least amount of sales and profit as well. In our profit or sales by segment class, we can see consumer having the biggest amount of sales and profit, whereas home office has the smallest amount of sales as well as profit. In our cities chart, we can observe that New York City has the most amount of sales and it also has a substantial amount of profit, since it both has the biggest size as well as the deepest shade of blue out of all of them. Otherwise, we have Seattle, San Francisco, and Los Angeles, which are also running at a decent amount of profit and a substantial amount of sales. On the contrary, we can observe Philadelphia, Houston, and Chicago being the major cities where the most amount of losses are happening. Where we have Philadelphia with a profit of minus 13,000 and Houston at a profit of minus 10,000. Now let us look into our profit or sales by category. Here we have visualized our sales using the yellow bar, whereas our profit is being visualized same as before by the blue to red bar. So on observing here, we can see that furniture, office supplies, and technology are all having a good amount of sales, with technology having the highest number of sales. However, when we look into our profit, we can observe that our furniture is having the least amount of profit, which is substantially low compared to both office supplies and technology, which are both performing pretty well, with technology performing really well compared to the other two. In order to understand what is actually causing all these losses in our furniture segment, let us look into our subcategories for furniture. Here we can observe that tables and bookcases are having the most amount of losses, where tables is running at a loss of minus 17,000 and bookcases are running at a loss of minus 3,000. Both our chairs and furnishings are performing pretty well. However, they can be improved based on the discount proportion for both of them. Looking into our office supplies, we can see that our papers, binders, and storage are having a good amount of profit. However, our binders can be improved by reducing the amount of discount that is offered on it. However, our supplies is running at a loss of minus 1000, even though its sales and discount is at a good proportion. So we need to look into better marketing strategies for supplies, or look into from what areas we should be removing it and what areas we should be focusing the supplies on in order to improve its profit and sales. We also need to do the same for fasteners, since it has a very less amount of profit and sales. Now, looking into our technology, we can see that our copiers, phones, and accessories, almost all of them are having a great amount of sales, whether copiers having the greatest amount of sales with a great distribution between its discount and sales. However, we can see our machines, which is having a less amount of profit, having a big amount of discount. So we may consider reducing the discount on our machines in order to have a better profit out of it. Now let us look into our profit and sales by region. First of all, let us look into the region with the most amount of losses, that is the central region. Looking into our central region, we can observe that our Houston and Chicago are having the most amount of losses, with Houston running at a loss of minus 10,000 and Chicago running at a loss of minus 6,000. So we need to come up with strategies for the profitable regions to apply into these regions to make a good profit out of them. Looking into our category chart for the central region, we can see that our furniture is making a loss. However, our office supplies and technology are making a profit. However, our office supplies can be improved by making a few tweaks here and there. Like our appliances, when binders and supplies are making a loss because of the big amount of discount that is offered on them. Now, looking into our furniture subcategories, we can see that our tables, furnishings, and bookcases are making a loss because of the big amount of discount that is offered on them. And as well as in technology, like we have seen before, that our machines are having were having a big amount of discount. So we need to look into how to reduce the discount so that our machines sales can be improved, and as well as its profit. Another important thing to understand about our central region is that our consumer sector is making the most amount of losses and our corporate sector is making the most amount of profit. From this, we can make a conclusion that the goods that are making losses in the central region, we need to focus them more towards the corporate region in order to get a good profit out of them. Now, moving on to the western region. Here we can observe that Seattle, San Francisco, and Los Angeles have the most amount of profit, and we have a very small amount of losses that are being made by the furniture region. Now, looking into our category, our furniture has the most amount of sales. Even compared to technology and office supplies, you can see furniture has the most amount of sales compared to all of them, which is pretty concerning since we have noticed that furniture has the most amount of losses compared to both of them. They is making a very small amount of profit of only 11,000 compared to the immense sale of 252,000. So this is pretty concerning. So we need to understand how the marketing strategies for furniture is being done in the region. Looking at office supplies, we can see that its profit is amazingly well, and as well as for technologies. We barely have any losses here other than for supplies, which is not really making a lot of profit compared to its sales, and as well as machines, which is making a loss because of the heavy discount that is applied on it everywhere, like we have seen previously. We can also see that in our western region, we have more consumer focused rather than corporate or home office focused. Now, moving on to our eastern region, we can observe that we have New York City having the most amount of sales and profit, which is also the greatest amount of sales and profit in the entire data set. And we also have Philadelphia having the most amount of losses, which is also the most amount of losses in our entire data set. Looking at our profit or sales by category for the eastern region, we can see our technology and office supplies are doing a great amount of profit, whereas furniture, as in all the regions, is making a loss, even though its sales is pretty good and on an equal footing to office supplies, which is making a really great amount of profit. Looking into our subcategories, we can observe that tables is at a all-time low of minus 11,000, which is causing a big majority of the losses that are happening in Philadelphia. So we need to understand what is actually causing these losses for the tables, and we can all clearly see that our discount and sales proportion is not up to the mark of what it should be, where we have scales of 39,140, whereas our average discount is at a peak of 37%. On the other categories, we can see all of them are doing well. even though we can do tweaks in supplies, which is making our loss, and our technology is making a great amount of profit. Looking into our southern region, we can observe we have Jacksonville, Burlington, Charlotte, and all these other cities with orange on them doing the most amount of losses. So these are the cities where we really need to focus on in order to increase the profit. So again, looking into our categories, here again we have office supplies and technology doing really extremely well, with office supplies doing like really well in this area. Whereas furniture, like in all the other regions, is again not doing really well with a small amount of profit compared to its sales. And looking into the subcategories, we can again see that tables is making a loss. Now we need to understand like what is actually causing the losses for tables. Like we have seen that in all of our regions, that tables is making the most losses, like mostly of furniture categories making the losses and even bookcases, but overall table is making the most losses. We need to understand that is the discount the reason that the tables are making losses, or is it the reason that we are like producing too many tables that are not needed by the people in these areas. So maybe a solution is that like we need to reduce the manufacture of tables in order to like fit the demand that is actually available for tables, or maybe we need to just reduce the discount that is being offered on it. Before wrapping up, let us look into why Philadelphia has such an immense amount of losses in this area. Okay, so this is really concerning, as we can see that our furniture, office supplies, and technology are all running at a negative profit, that is losses. Like, what is actually causing such losses? Almost all of our subcategories are in red here. So we can like instantly observe that our discount is extremely high for all the subcategories. In our bookcases, we have 50% discount. We have average discount of 40% for our tables. We have 20% on our appliances. So we can see that the discounts really need to dial down because this is actually average discount. So that is one thing to consider. Now, if we look into New York, let us see like what New York is doing really well, even though it is so close by to Philadelphia. As you can see, New York's technology is having the most amount of profit, and even though its office supplies and furniture are having a good amount of sales, furniture is again running at a loss, but it is nothing really compared to what is happening in Philadelphia. So we need to really focus our efforts on Philadelphia because it is like an abnormal case of loss, which should be really concerning for the state. Now let us look into the conclusions that we have gathered from our discussion. The most amount of losses are happening in the furniture category, with tables taking over most of the losses. Reducing the manufacture for the tables in most of the regions experiencing losses will probably lead to better profits for the company and cutting out on the discounts for the furniture category as well. Our machine subcategory from the technologies is having a large amount of discount offered on it throughout the various regions that is causing losses. So we need to reduce the discount on it to make better profits out of them. For our central region, more profit is observed in the corporate segment, whereas more losses are observed in the consumer segment. So we need to transfer the goods that are making losses in the customer segment into the corporate segment to make a good profit out of them. Our ship mode has a minimal amount of variations between the different regions, with standard mode of shipping always having the most amount of sales and profit. Philadelphia is an abnormality with the most amount of losses in all the categories, even when it has a decent amount of sales, mainly because of the large amount of discounts that are being offered for the different subcategories in the city. There might be a lot more reasons that we are not getting from this dataset, but for now, these are all the conclusions that I could come up with. This marks the end for my exploratory data analysis project on retail for the sample superstore dataset. Thank you.